Welcome back to another episode of American Circus. On today's episode, we're going to take a look at what Americans think is appropriate to teach kids. So, without further ado, let's take a look.
We just want our kids in our schools to understand who we are, and it's like, well, you don't need to talk to them about sex to make that happen. And the crazy thing about what's happening in Florida, this parental rights and education bill, there's a meme going around. It's a map of the United States. Every state is blue except Florida is red, and it says the blue states are where grooming is allowed for all ages, and Florida is the state where grooming is allowed grades 4 and up.
I'm going, actually, my issue with it is it doesn't go far enough. It should not be just until the third grade and suddenly they can start talking to you about sex. You know, how about you're not allowed to talk to my child about sex ever? You know, and Thomas Sowell does a really good job in his book of talking about the time before sex ed, before sex education. Children were graduating high school, the majority of them with their virginity. And then,
in case you didn't know what grooming is, let me tell you. According to the American Bar, grooming is a method used by offenders that involves building trust with the child and the adults around the child in an effort to get time alone with him or her. Keep that in mind for a later part of this video.
Apparently I've been living under a rock for the past few years because there's a thing called a pedophilia pride flag. Now this flag doesn't come as a surprise to me at all because I halfway expected pedophilia to be legalized many years ago because Democrats would stoop so low to be inclusive to everybody. So this right here is the pedo flag. The technical term of this flag is MAP, which stands for Minor Attracted Persons. Now the fact that this flag even exists is disgusting in itself, but once I actually look at this flag and look at the colors, it disgusts me even more. So here's a breakdown of what the colors mean on the flag. The top two stripes are blue to represent attraction to young boys. The bottom two stripes are pink to represent attraction to young girls. The inner yellow stripes are to represent childhood and general attraction to minors regardless of their gender. And the middle stripe is white to represent innocence and unwillingness to offend.
It seems like in the past, things were too restricted, too closed off, too unfair. And now, we live in a time where anything and everything is permissible. Is that really a good idea? Should we not be checking some of these ideologies that we're beginning to accept? Does any of this make sense?
The whole thing with Ron DeSantis, he's like extremely homophobic.
This homophobe crap comes from this bill, the Parental Rights and Education bill, that just makes sure that teachers aren't talking to kids about anal sex. I don't think that's being homophobic.
Well, what do you feel like California and New York, as a result, because you have the freedom to be yourself openly, is more free than Florida in that sense?
Work is not free. Like, I don't understand. Like, when you have a job, you're not free to do whatever you want. If you go work for Coca-Cola and you run around the office saying, I blew a big penis this week, I blew a big penis, do you think you're going to be able to keep your job? No, you're not free at work. I don't want a straight teacher talking about the blowjob she gave this past weekend. I don't want a straight teacher talking about how she fucked her husband that weekend.
So just being open about who they are without...
Teach my kid math, teach my kid science, teach my kid history. I don't need you to be talking to my kid about your personal life at all.
Okay.
So if the schools aren't safe, how about teaching kids at home? After all, the parents are the first line of education for children. That should fix the problem, right?
Does your mom say you have to be LGBT? No, I can choose what I want to be, but
Go ahead, Lex. Go ahead. Keep talking. Say what you're saying.
My mom doesn't matter if I am gay or lesbian or any of that. She doesn't care. All she cares about is that I'm a part of it. And if I'm not a part of it, she'll try to convince me to join it. Because
What are you saying right now?
Facts.
That I would convince you to join what?
The LGBTQIA+.
Interesting. Imagine if there was another doctrine being targeted at children. I wonder how long that would stick around. It's almost as if your children are not even yours anymore. Is there anywhere you can go that will keep them safe from these new laws?
$1.2 million. That's what it's taken for me to defend my boy. Now they're trying to take my boy's genitals and eventually kill him. So this is what happened to him. This is him at 4 years old. His mom, she is a pediatrician in Coppell, Texas. She had my son on her website when it raises money for her. All the while she was complaining that I was posting pictures of him on the internet. So I pointed this out in court. The next day, that's how she put him on the website. Do you know the court did absolutely nothing about this? So at the time, we had a court order which prohibited either one of us from presenting the boy in a way that he wasn't known to third parties. Somebody knew him as a girl, I had to present him as a girl. That's me picking him up. She used to do this stuff to provoke me. She wanted me to be violent. Here he is a little older. She now dresses him up like a drag queen. Everywhere he goes to school like this. She's given him a fake name, Luna. Despite the fact that I've told the schools they don't have my consent to do this, I've changed his name. I'm headed toward a federal lawsuit with them, which is gonna cost me a lot more money. So I'm gonna ask you, if you can't stop this as a father in Texas, do your children really belong to you under the law?